Hey Couch Surfers, Brandon here. Right off the bat, I want to go ahead and apologize for the abysmal lighting. If you can't tell by the towel rack in the background, I am in the bathroom at work. So this week's topic is for us to come up with a random superhero. First of all, Austin, premature ejaculation, man. Best idea ever. No, but in all seriousness, this is a topic that, Austin, you're kind of right, does favor me, though not necessarily for the reasons that you'd think. Before I really decided on focusing on the entertainment business as a whole, my dream was to become a comic book writer. Now, admittedly, I had this dream when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, but it's something that's definitely carried over. And I've spent a lot of time coming up with comic book characters, whether it be for recreational uses or use in tabletop role-playing games. And somewhere in my house, I have a couple notebooks that are filled front to back with just different ideas for comic book characters, heroes, villains, side characters, different scenarios, different cities, different places in those cities. I've gone really in-depth with all of this. The issue I am having is narrowing the list down to which ones do I pick, because I've come up with a lot of them that I'm proud of, and I think are somewhat original, but I've narrowed it down to 3. I've got a serious hero, I have a serious villain, and I have a joke hero. We're gonna start with the joke hero, just so I can do this, so hopefully it'll be the thumbnail. Let me... Gotta make sure I get the thumbnail in there. So the joke character is Mustang Mulligan. Yes, that's a terrible name. Yes, that was intentional. Mustang Mulligan was your average pot-smoking college dropout, and he was a pizza delivery boy. Until one fateful day, when he came across a pizza in the middle of the street that was glowing. That's right, Mustang Mulligan ate an alien pizza. And it turns out that the reason that aliens are so far advanced from us is not because of years and years and years of research. No, it is because of radioactive pizza. As a result of that, Mustang Mulligan becomes slightly more than average. He can jump a little bit higher than everyone else. He can run a little bit quicker. He's a little bit stronger. He's a little bit... Okay, he's still a dumbass. However, he thinks that he has these incredible powers that he has to use to fight crime. And he tries. Only there's some legitimate threats here. Some of the most threatening villains I've ever created, I've actually put into Mustang Mulligan. And usually he ends up winning through either sheer dumb luck or with the assistance of someone else, but it looks like Mustang did it. I think it's funny anyways. As for my serious superhero, that would go to Negative. Now, Negative's whole shtick is that he spent a couple years fighting over in Iraq, and he wound up losing a leg as a result of it. He signs up for a scientific experiment, military type thing, where instead of using the genetics or robotics that we'd expect people to use for amputees, they use a material known as shadow matter. To this day, I'm not even 100% sure what shadow matter is, which is why I haven't gone in depth with Negative as I'd like, but basically, the shadow matter did successfully regenerate his legs, but it also, well, gave him powers. On top of the extensive physical training and combat training that he had already, he now has control over shadow matter, which I always kind of imagined as the material that is used for the Slender Man's tendrils. The issue here is that shadow matter is extremely erratic and extremely destructive, so he can only use it as a last resort. And that last resort transitions us into Merrymaker. Merrymaker is a villain who I designed specifically for Negative, but the more I flesh out my universe, the more he fits other places. Back in the 1940s, Merrymaker was a superhero, right? His entire shtick was that he was your typical cornball superhero, and he was a gadgeteer. Meaning that, you know, he'd have, like, the squirting lapel that, like, glues you to the ground, or, like, the little squeezy boxing glove thing, and he'd always be cracking poor jokes. And he's a member of a team who, right now, is known as the Justice Task Force, though that's still very much a work in progress. Anyways, the Justice Task Force, with Merrymaker on the team, had to go to Antarctica to deal with some experimental technology bullshit. We're not going to go into that. Extremely long story short, an explosion happens and Merrymaker is entirely encased in ice. Everyone believes him to be dead, but it actually completely freezes him and kind of keeps him alive somehow. I'm still working out the details. However, the ice crystals got into his bloodstream and somehow mutated with his DNA to give him control over ice. He finally gets unthawed, and all those years being completely frozen, few screws are loose now. So now you have this former superhero turned psychotic villain who can control ice and still has a pretty bad sense of humor, only now it's black as gallows. Anyways, those are the 3 I decided to share with you today. Comment question of the day. Who is your favorite superhero, and who is your favorite supervillain? As Austin pointed out, it's kind of hard to come up with a superhero on the fly, so I'm making the question a little bit easier. As always, go ahead and leave your questions for us down there in the comment section below. Until next time, see you later. Still working on the outro thing.